Hi, Facebook family. Welcome to the ACLU's version of a tiny office concert. I'm Lee Rowland. I'm a free speech attorney at the ACLU, and I'm here today with my colleague Aisha Bandari and the amazing Slants. The Slants are a rock group that has also become a group of advocates for the First Amendment. So we're going to hear them play today. We're going to talk about how they become activists in addition to musicians. And mostly, Aisha and I get to hang out with rock stars for a little while, so thanks for letting us do that. So this is Simon Tam, who began, you founded the band, right, Simon?
I did, yeah, about 11 years ago.
It's been a long journey. I bet you never thought you'd end up at the Supreme Court. Can you tell us a little bit about why you picked the band name The Slants?
Well, I knew I wanted to create a band that was about representation for the Asian American community because there's such a lack of it in the entertainment industry. And I knew I wanted to address like stereotypes and assumptions that people have. So I started asking my friends, I was like, what do you think all Asians have in common? And they'd always tell me slanted eyes, which I find interesting because it's not true. Not all Asians have slanted eyes. Asian people are not the only people with slanted eyes on this planet. But I thought it's also a cool way to pay homage to Asian American activists who've been reappropriating the kind of slur of slanted eyes for quite a while now. And more importantly, as a band, it just sounds like a cool band. The Slant sounds like something Debbie Harry would be in. So I was like, cool, we can talk about our own perspective, our own slant on life as Asian Americans, and help in this kind of reclaiming process of creating social change through language and music.
That's awesome. So if you guys don't know about the Slants' journey here and why they're here at the ACLU, the reason is because when Simon went to register the name of the band as a trademark so they could play, it was rejected. Why was that, Simon? What happened?
Well, that's when I learned about something called Section 2A of the Lanham Act. Which
Don't fall asleep. It's really interesting.
It basically says you can't register marks that are scandalous, immoral, or disparaging. And in our case, the trademark office decided that our name, the Slants, at least as long as it's being used by an Asian band, is disparaging or offensive to Asians. And so they rejected our case, and that kind of set me off on this very long path that lasted almost a decade now, going through court after court, trying to fight for the right to be able to register our name and fully be able to use it and enjoy it.
Okay, so we're going to talk more with Simon in the Slants, but maybe let's get to a little rock music. And before they play our first song, I want to encourage anybody watching, if you guys have questions you want to ask the band, you want to ask me or Aisha, send them our way, and Aisha will be reading any questions you have for the band in between songs. Okay, it's all you guys.
Out, reaching through ghostly hands in abandoned rooms. Where's the charge? This hollow march fake you out in fits and starts. Don't let the words dissuade, don't let the text prevail, don't let the weakness of others infect your health. Don't be their alibi, don't be their greedy mouth. If it's time, then it's now. Stand up tall and fight back rather than just sit back. Claw your way through the feedback. Don't get caught in that, don't get caught in that. Just react, heart and mind remain intact. Tooth and nail will not retract. Lead the pack, cause it's your time now, your time now. A broken piece, you create what you wanna see. Shuttered mind, shuttered eyes, can't see, can't feel inside. Don't let the words dissuade, don't let the text prevail, don't let the weakness of others infect your health. Don't be their alibi, don't be their greedy mouth. If it's time, then it's now. Stand up tall and fight back rather than just sit back, claw your way through the feedback. Don't get caught in that, don't get caught in that. Just react, heart and mind remain intact. Tooth the nail will not retract. Lead the pack, 'cause it's your time now, your time now. Fight back, rather than just sit back, claw your way through the feedback. Don't get caught in that, don't get caught in that. Just react, heart and mind remain intact. Tooth the nail will not retract. Lead the pack, 'cause it's your time now, your time now. Fight back rather than just sit back, claw your way through the feedback. Don't get caught in that, don't get caught in that. Just react, heart and mind remain intact. Tooth the nail will not retract. Lead the pack, 'cause it's your time now, your time now. Fight back rather than just sit back, claw your way through the feedback. Don't get caught in that, don't get caught in that. Just react, heart and mind remain intact. Tooth the nail will not retract. Lead the pack, 'cause it's your time now, your time now.
Nice. You guys sound awesome acoustic. That's fantastic. And what a great song to play at the ACLU about fight back rather than sit back.
That's your Facebook cover right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. And that's exactly, I'll use that as a segue. I'll be cheesy. That's exactly what you guys did, right? When the court denied your right to have the slants, you didn't just pick another name or, go sit on the sidelines. You fought back all the way to the Supreme Court. And for those of you who are just joining us, these are the Slants. This band not only is a Chinatown rock band, but they also are now waiting for a decision from the Supreme Court on whether or not they have the right to register their band name, the Slants, as a trademark. So Aisha, I don't know if we have any questions so far from the audience.
Yes. Thank you for sending in your questions. Please keep sending them in. One question for you is, what do you say to people who consider your name disparaging? And can you talk a little bit about what the process of reappropriation means to you?
Sure. I think the thing about reappropriation and why it's so powerful is because it's really confusing. Honestly, because we're dealing with racism, which is a really complex social structure, and we know it's not just about not liking somebody of a different race. We know racism is a social structure. It's institutionalized and systemic. And so reappropriation shifts that power away from a dominant group and groups who get to say what's right or wrong, and places it upon the communities to say, you know what, that's not cool for me, or that's not cool for my community. So there's a really powerful process in that. I know that it's something that's not agreeable to everyone, but then again, most language and most art and culture isn't going to be agreeable to 100% of the people. I think the really nice thing about any kind of disagreement is that it actually advances the conversation and lets us to stop and examine our values and say, okay, what are we trying to say here, and how can we actually connect as people?
So related to what you've just been talking about, we have a question from Barbara, which is, how would you consider your case to be viewed in light of setting a precedent for other groups whose trademarks might be considered offensive? And how do you respond to that?
I think that it's something that I was worried a lot. And the elephant in the room is the Washington football team. People are like, oh, if you guys win, you win it for the team. But when you look at the law and you look at how it's applied, the burden is not on the rich and powerful football teams of the world. It's on marginalized communities, especially people of color and LGBTQ community members, because those are the groups that tend to reappropriate language, become misunderstood, and then have their own identities used against them. The trademark office said we are too Asian to be the Slants, that anyone can be the Slants except for Asian people. They said the same thing about Dykes on Bikes. They said the same thing about Heave Media. Over and over again, we find that they place a burden on already burdened communities. So I like to say that instead of trying to be obsessed with punishing bad people like the Dan Snyders of the world, we should instead create a path forward for marginalized groups so that we can stand up for ourselves, empower our own communities, and fight back. And I mean, we were actually on a panel yesterday talking about this and talking about how there's this false dichotomy between free speech and civil rights. It's like, if you care about social justice, if you care about civil rights, then you have to protect the First Amendment, absolutely. Everything else it like kind of flows from there. Because as a person who's been a member of a marginalized community, I do not trust the government to handle my rights appropriately. I need my own community to have the chance to weigh in and have ownership of that.
So it's about having a conversation rather than giving government the power to make these decisions for us.
Exactly. I don't think anyone could argue that a random examining attorney at the trademark office is the best place to basically legislate morality. I mean, they get it wrong all the time, even on non-offensive things, like my band name. But why do we want to give them this kind of unfettered power? Why not give that to the people instead?
I think we certainly agree at the ACLU.
I was going to say, that's one of the reasons I think it's been amazing for Aisha and I to work on your case and to file briefs in support of you guys, is because we'll do things on principle. And there are times when the ACLU has had to defend awful and offensive people for the First Amendment principles we all enjoy. But you guys are not that. You guys are wonderful people, and you're vehicles of both, I think, racial justice and free speech. And it's so nice for us to be working on a case where that's true. Let's hope the Supreme Court agrees with all of us and we get a good decision soon.
Hopefully, like Notorious RBG is tuning in right now.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
And now that she's so adopted her identity as Notorious RBG, maybe she's really sympathizing, with the music community.
Hope so.
Yeah, let's hope. You guys want to play us another song?
Sure.
Okay, so for anyone listening, this is the Slants. We're talking with them about their lawsuit, which is at the Supreme Court, fighting for the right to register their band name, the Slants, as a trademark. We also get the delight of listening to them play. If you have any questions for them, please send it our way during the song, and Aisha will ask at the break.
So this next song, called From the Heart, was originally written as an open letter to the trademark office. But really it's for anybody that's felt misunderstood or frustrated by haters out there. So I am willing to bet some of us, if not all of us, have felt unheard, invisible, or unnoticed. So I want to invite everybody to be a part of this. Basically,
whatever staff we have around.
Yeah. So when I point, I'll point forward or I point at you. You say no. Ready?
No.
No.
Again.
No.
So when you see something wrong, are you just going to remain silent?
No.
You see someone getting put down? You're getting put down? What do you say?
No.
Are you guys going to leave here without liking us on Facebook?
No.
All right, let's do this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry if I know it's too sharp. Sorry if our voice is too raw. Don't make the pen a weapon and censor our intelligence until our thoughts mean nothing at all. Sorry if you take offense. You made up rules and play pretend. We know you fear change, it's something so strange, but nothing's gonna get in our way. There's no room for your backwards feelings and backyard dealings. We're never gonna settle, never gonna settle. No, we won't remain silent. No, it's our defining moment. We sing from the heart. Gotcha. We sing from the heart. No, we won't become complacent. No, it's a rock and roll nation. We sing from the heart. We sing from the heart. Good job, everybody. Sorry if we try too hard to take some power back for ours. The language of oppression will lose to education until the words can't hurt us again. Sorry if you take offense. Silence will not make amends. The system's all wrong. It won't be long before the kids are singing our song. There's no room for your backwards feelings and backyard dealings. We're never gonna settle, never gonna settle. And no, we won't remain silent. No, it's our defining moment. We sing from the heart. We sing from the heart. No, we won't become complacent. No, it's a rock and roll nation. We sing from the heart. We sing from the heart. Come on, yeah.
You want to join our band? Just go on tour with ACLU.
Limited engagement, Slants with ACLU. If you're just joining us, this is the Slants. This band is not only obviously a source of great rock music, but is also pressing their case before the Supreme Court for the right to register their band name, the Slants. I'd love to know, Simon, I happen to know because I was there that you guys got to go to the Supreme Court. What was that like? What did it feel like having your whole band identity unfurled before these eight strangers?
It was really overwhelming, I think. But
As soon as Ruth Bader Ginsburg opened her mouth, I fell in love.
yeah, it was. I mean, just honestly, it was kind of weird. Being in this for 8 years, like from day one, and then having kind of the fate kind of decided on 55 minutes of random people talking about us, I just thought, wow, justice takes a long, long time. But it absolutely takes persistence as well. I think a lot about as we were there, actually that week we went to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on MLK Day. We were singing some songs there, and I was looking up at the quotes that are on the wall in D.C., and one of my favorite quotes from him was there. It says that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I'm sitting there thinking, he's right, but that moral arc does not bend on its own. It requires a community of people willing to stand up for the rights, willing to stand up for the most vulnerable of communities, saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much it costs, because it's the right thing not only for me, not just about my band, but for the entire country. And that's why I became so passionate about this particular case.
Aisha?
So I have a question for you guys. Obviously, this has been a very intense process leading up to the Supreme Court, and hopefully the Supreme Court rules in your favor, but regardless, the legal fight will end this term. So what comes next for you all? Will you continue to be activists? Will there be a letdown? I mean, what are you expecting?
I mean, for us, I think art is just a big part of what we do, and I like to say that art and activism are intricately tied together, because both art and activism are not about the world that we currently have, but the world that we want to see, the world that we imagine it could be, and we're working out steps to get there, either by making music or doing theater or marching in the streets. And so we're going to continue doing that no matter what. Our newest album happens to be called The Band Who Must Not Be Named. It's a loving tribute to the trademark office. And while we're not going to necessarily write songs about laws written in 1946 and how they're used against people of color all the time, what we are going to do is continue to make important statements about our experiences of navigating this world, especially the music industry, especially as people of color. Like we wrote a song called Anthem, which is kind of our take on the Black Lives Matter movement and calling for accountability and transparency from law enforcement. We're just going to continue to kind of write these songs as part of who we are. Sometimes our songs are happy and fun and about relationships and people we care about, and sometimes they say serious things. But no matter what, we're going to press forward and incorporate all those things into who we are, because that's our band.
All right, well, do we have any questions from our in-house audience
before
we go to the final song?
Questions? Okay. Well, thanks for the backup, guys.
Yeah.
So you have hopefully been watching with us. This is the Slants. We're Lee and Aisha from the ACLU. Hope everybody out there crosses their fingers and keeps faith with us that the Slants are going to win their case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court and get the right to trademark their name. And I think one of the awesome things about this country is at least we have a chance, right? At least we get to fight. We've got the Constitution. We're pretty weirdly patriotic around here, maybe not always for how our country is, but how we want it to be. So I know you guys are going to close us out with a patriotic song. And before you do that, if you want to tell our audience how they can find you guys, make sure they like you on Facebook and get the newest album that shall not be named.
Yeah,
please feel
so
know.
we're on theslants.com, on Facebook and Twitter at The Slants, and Instagram Slants Official. The newest release is actually on iTunes right now, Amazon, all the kind of usual places. And we're going to be touring across the country for another few weeks. This is 21 out of 44 for us on this leg of the tour. So we're just so excited to be able to share our art with everybody. And this song was actually suggested to us from a good friend and our publicist who's been telling me for years that we ought to play it. And I thought there's probably no place more appropriate than the ACLU, because it is a patriotic song, but it's also a criticism of the things happening in the country.
Yes.
And as I know you like to say, there's like a sign hanging out back here that says "Dissent is patriotic," and I think that could be like our band's slogan right now. It feels like.
Us too. Sounds about right. Thank you guys all so much for being here and joining us in the office, giving us an hour away from our desks. We had an amazing time with you. And why don't you finish us off with the anthem, not just to patriotism, but to making the world the place we deserve.
Down in a dead man's town. The first kick I took was when I hit the ground. End up like a dog that's been beat too much, till you spend half your life just covering up. Born in the USA, I was born in the USA. Born in the USA. Born in the USA. Got in a little hometown jam, so they put a rifle in my hand, sent me off to a foreign land to go and kill the yellow man. Born in the USA, born in the USA, I was born in the USA, born in the USA, down in the shadow penitentiary, I'm by the fires of the refinery. 10 years burning down the road, nowhere to run, ain't got nowhere to go. Born in the USA, I was born in the USA, I was born in the USA, born in the USA, born in the USA, born in the USA, born in the USA. I'm a long cool daddy in the USA.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are ACLU and the Slants. And find them online, like them on Facebook, and let's all hope they win their case at the Supreme Court. Thanks for joining us.